Good morning, team. It is 5:48 a.m. and we are about to head off on our first speed session of the week. By popular demand, we are doing a full video on what I eat in a day. You've wanted my expertise around macronutrients, calorie intake, meal timing, so I'm going to unveil a lot of that in today's video. I'm going to take you through certain macronutrients I have around certain workouts and ones that I avoid around other meals and why. I'm eating around 38 to 4,200 calories every day, and that's dependent upon the amount of work I'm doing, also if I'm in a recovery state, which I'll talk about as well. But let's strap in for the first session. It is minus 12 degrees outside, so it's going to be a fun one. Let's kick it. Nature's candy right here. Easily digestible, 30 grams of carbs. Everybody wins. All right, I'll see you guys out there.
So Tim, we've got a track workout, but because it's iced over, we're going to do it on the West Side Highway. We've got 400, 90-second rest, 800, 90-second rest, 1 mile, 1,600 meters, 90-second rest, and then all that through again. So we've got our first 400 now. This is Darby saying, let's get fucking moving.
Yeah, let's go.
It's a little chilly this morning, minus 12 degrees Celsius, about 10 degrees Fahrenheit. But it's Tuesday, so that means we have a speed session. You got frost? Coldest day of the year.
That's all it is.
Cold.
It's just
That's what it
cold.
is. Alright, so rep's done. Coldest day of the year. Just gotta get it done though. Non-negotiables. Look at that, that is just gross. One of my favourite quotes right now is, you don't necessarily rise to the occasion, you just fall to the level of your training. If Tuesday is a speed session, doesn't matter the temperature, you just kind of show up. Alright, going home? The first step is always the hardest. Getting out of that warm bed is the hardest. So take that first step, get out there, get your reps in, because you're building up your grit currency. That's what we're doing today. I felt by building habits and routines, one thing that has come to mind. The question this morning was, how fast am I gonna go? And wasn't, are we gonna do this workout? It's one of the brilliant things about building a habit routine and a plan is everything else becomes non-negotiable. So if your question is how fast, not if, you're in an unbelievable mindset. Time to go back, make some breakfast and get stuck into some work. Maybe have a hot shower as well. Woo! Alright, back after that session. It is currently 7:52 a.m. So gonna get my first shake in. Effectively, this is a very low fat, high carb shake. I wanna get as much of the resources that my body needs into my system as quickly as possible, which means avoiding fat, which can slow down digestion. And the best way I like to do this is just through a shake. So I usually have 2 shakes a day, so I don't like to have a double whey effort. So I do a vegan in the morning or a whey, and then alternate between that in the afternoon. So based on making sure I do not want to overload my kidneys and have too much toxicity, I am very big on trying to make sure that I diversify everything that I have in my diet. And so despite me not being vegan, I choose to also include things that are vegan to make sure I still get enough plants, but also alternative forms of amino acids. So vegan in the morning, and then in the afternoon I have a whey protein. 2 scoops of this bad boy. I'll leave my creatine for my workout this afternoon. Along with my vegan protein, I'm also going to do 1 scoop of my daily AG1. That's just all-encompassing prebiotic, probiotic, and a multivitamin all in one. I do that every day. Sometimes I just have it not with the shake. Also, I'm gonna add in vitamin D3 plus K2. If you are ever doing a vitamin D supplement, make sure it is always vitamin D3. It's the one our body actually uses and requires. If you can get it plus K2, so that's a great vitamin that really supports the role of vitamin D3. That's an added bonus. We have it here with AG1. If you subscribe to AG1 using the link down below, you will get this sent to you as a bonus. I'm also gonna send you some 5 free travel packs when I travel. If you didn't know, I'm an investor in AG1. I was a customer, then a partner, and then an investor. Massive fan of what we are doing. All in all, that is my additional supplements that I have. So in the morning, vegan protein, AG1, vitamin D3, and I'll take some, also take some fat as well. Megas. So I'll also take this
but I'll only ever take it with food, so I'll have this with my main meal in a second. So again, get all the carbs and the protein in quickly, minimize your fat, and then you can think about your main meal. This has around just over 600 calories roughly in it. So you got around 54 grams of protein, 84 grams of carbs, and around 5 grams of fat. Most importantly, it tastes epic. All right, time to shower and then make our first real breakfast.
All right, team, it is 8:24. Just side note, this is definitely my new favorite shirt. So on brand. I got it from Tourism Australia. So time to make our first whole food meal of the day. You want to say whole food, just something that's a bit more substantial in your stomach. Let's get into it. I'm gonna make my power bowl with 3 eggs.
Definitely an art to the Cornell of yogurt on your power bowl.
Nah, bruz, it's still half full. I know a lot of you are gonna be like, you're not even eyeballing it, or you don't know for sure. I'm like, well, one, I'm a chef, and two, I've been doing this long enough. So if you build habits where you get a pretty good understanding, it removes the need for the super diligent. I want to say diligent, I don't want to make you feel like I'm not diligent in life, but I like to enjoy my food. I don't like to have to sit down and count numbers every day, all day, and make sure to a T I'm hitting it. I also don't think that's a healthy relationship with food. I relatively know, based on me doing this enough times, what things are. And I think that's a great position to be in, where you've built up enough experience through doing it that you just kind of relatively know.
Got this honey from California. Shout out to California native mountain wildflower. I think you guys have avoided the fires. I did actually research to see if you had. I'm stoked. A lot of food related companies were affected by the Palisade fires and LA fires in general. Shout out to you guys. I know you're doing a lot to support, so I just want to say you guys are awesome. And I'm a big fan of your honey and your actual extra virgin olive oil too. Keep being awesome.
Just under 900 calories from this, roughly 30 grams of protein, about 120 grams of carbs, and nearly 40 grams of fat. And then you add in the 3 eggs, that's about 18 grams of protein, minimal carbs, but about 15 grams of fat too. All in all, let's look at the tally. So based on the morning numbers, I'm around 17 or just under 1800 calories, about 100 grams of protein, 196 grams of carbs, and around 74 grams of fat already. So I always like to start in this position where I'm off to a great start. My lunch is gonna be decent as well. That's typically my morning. All right, now we feed Mav and then get stuck into work. It is 8:58. So one of the first projects we do today is just to go over the newsletter, make sure everything's set up correctly. Also, forgot to mention, if you wanted that recipe for the Power Bowl, if you subscribe to Legendary, it gets sent to you as part of one of the first emails. So just an FYI. In addition to that, we are launching a mini campaign with one of my partners, Hone, which we're kind of leading. And big part of that is, I've been testing my blood to understand what I'm deficient in. And now I want to build that into a story of my teammates and the people who I'm also training with as well.
Is that all for me? This is all for you.
We've got a shoot later this week where we're coordinating the phlebotomist to come, stories to be told. We've got a really big meeting this afternoon with a potential new partner, which is huge. Really excited to share more. So I'm gonna get stuck into work and then we'll probably have our next meal in the next 90 minutes. Team, it is 12:21 and just finished up our newsletter and a couple other things. And I just want to say one of the most common things we all think about when it comes to hybrid training is building in strength around run and still allowing for rest. And it's, I think we all ask friends about it. We speak to experts like myself about it. And so I've just started to put it into our newsletter. So this is actually part 2. This is coming out on Saturday. So last week's newsletter. So if you have not subscribed to Legendary and you want to learn more about hybrid training, definitely recommend you do it. Time to eat. All right, team. So one thing I actually do for anything I put in the fridge and even some ingredients I put in my pantry is I label everything. Even if I haven't cooked it yet, it is named, labeled, dated, and it helps me keep an eye on things. It also lets Milena and I both know what it is, whether it be for maybe a recipe shoot, and in particular things like ossobuco for lunch, like I have right here, which I'm really, really excited for. Another thing I do, which you may want to actually consider, is I put all my proteins on the bottom of the fridge. The reason I do that is to prevent cross-contamination of what would be essentially spoilage. Sometimes raw materials can leak down, and if you have a raw, say, chicken, it's dripping juice onto, say, vegetables that you just keep in a salad and do not cook, you could get food poisoning. That is another chef thing. Essentially, I've taken a lot of chef things from my professional career and taken them to my home. Don't think I'm going to be very successful in trying to get Milena to be one of my chefs though. I've tried to enforce this on Milena. I haven't been as successful yet. She actually hates it. Look, so I needed extra carbs, and I'm like, oh, I have some rice. I looked at the date, I'm like, that's fair game.
All right, so this ossobuco, just under 900 calories. I typically aim for lunchtime to be around 30 to 40 grams of protein, around 80 to 100 grams of carbs. Particularly as we're in between my sessions, I like to have a higher amount of fat right now because I'm not relying on energy as rapidly or to be rapidly available. So fat can be present, in this case, around 40 grams of fat. I don't typically have ossobuco for lunch, but I would say I usually have my leftovers or I go out and get lunch, and that's typically the macro breakdown I have. I also would like to say one of the biggest tips I do is I always make sure I have extra rice, pasta, or quinoa or something like that of a starch nature available. So I like to flex my carbs. For example, some days are 3,800 calories, some days are 4,200, and or having readily available carbs is how I do it. Just simply add it to, cooking method as you're cooking something else and having it readily available like I have today.
I swear, when we finish this renovation, I actually have my amazing island bench and then also just somewhere to sit. It's gonna be a great day. Wait till you see this sauna and cold plunge though. I'm not gonna lie, when I made this last night, I had a bite and I was just like, wow, I love being a chef. So this is for the gym, some G1M, just one scoop, 350 milligrams of sodium, 20 grams of carbs. So going into this block, we've really dialed in not only just strength and absolute speed, but a bit of speed endurance. And we're also applying simulation, so zone 4 work. But right now, really working on still making sure we have the complete strength throughout the course of a movement. So including more tempo work. So for this, we're doing 3 seconds down on the eccentric phase. So that's the contraction where the muscle's lengthening, and then 1 second up. So the idea here is to put more time under tension on the phase that is often neglected. So the eccentric phase in any movement is typically neglected. You think about it, when you're doing a push-up, you'll typically allow gravity to take you down. You actually control that movement down, that's the eccentric phase for all of the major muscle groups. You get the benefit that's often neglected. We're working off percentages of our 1RM. So we're doing a 65 to 70% effort, at least starting, and then seeing how we feel. But this is why doing your 1RM becomes really important. Doing it like a 3-minute round. So your effort starts at 3, by the time it hits 0, you're starting your set again. So it takes you 30 seconds, you got 2.5 minutes rest. So it's pretty good. So you get like a 1 to 6 work to rest ratio. Getting stronger. The work is working. It's a lot harder to do controlled reps. So it's a lot harder to just bear the grunt of the weight for a longer period of time. I have a very specific and intentional breathing pattern during my lifts. So particularly with a squat, a lot of the time you're looking at it from the perspective of you're pushing your ability away from the ground. You're actually just pushing the ground. That's what you're doing. When you're maintaining such a heavy weight on your back, everything between your ground and that weight has to be strong. So one way you can do that is obviously make sure you're engaging everything. Another thing is your breath. So your breath is really important to be strong, but also center your torso, your core, and engage everything else. You're also giving your body and the cells in that one split second the ability to maximize on oxygen. So essentially what I'm doing is I breathe in and hold on the way down and exert as I do my concentric phase. And so by doing that, you learn to really keep your core stable, give as much strength in between that ground force that you're pushing through, between that and the weight on your back, and also you maximizing oxygen to the given needs of where it needs to go. Nice timing. That's what it's about. I will say, when you find a crew you can train with, I know you guys all know that, there's a bunch of you asking me like how I found this crew. It just makes a massive difference.
Alright guys, finish your time. We've got our volume piece, 5-minute timer. We saw this format last week. Alright, it's just bulk reps here. Alright, 2 movements, a single leg RDL into your heel elevated goblet squat. Alright, so well, what do you actually do?
I always start the morning with my oats, DC special with the power bowl. It's just got a bit of water as base, blueberries, with some strawberries, depending on how I'm feeling. Chuck a banana in there, chia seeds, hemp seeds, honey. I was doing peanut butter for a long time, but I was going too hard on it, so I just kind of canned the peanut butter for the moment. And then Greek yogurt on the top of that.
Just a good like spoonful though?
It's like 200 grams. So it's like fit. Protein shake, of course. Actually been doing 2 protein shakes recently. DC bloody got me on it. He's like, you should do 2. 1 whey protein one and 1 vegan protein one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So on that note, we are going back home. Gonna quickly have that shake as always, minimal fat, high carb, high protein before we make dinner. Still got a bit of work to do, and also have the fact of renovating my apartment, so jumping on some architecture calls and design calls, but food comes first. So see you soon. That was a good session. See you in the next one. Yeah, bring it over here. You don't hurt yourself. Bring it. Maverick Bartholomew Winston Churchill. Come here. Come here. Sit. Sit. Stay. So it's 5:10 p.m. Just got back from the strength session, my PM session. As a result, the same rules apply. I need to get energy into me as quickly as possible, so we want to avoid fat as best as we can. And in doing so, increase protein, carbohydrates, so that it is fast, fast absorption, making it super bioavailable. So I'm going to do 2 scoops of whey protein. So this morning I had vanilla. This afternoon I'm going to do whey vanilla. Love vanilla. Essentially, as I said earlier, I don't like having a lot of whey throughout the day. I like mixing it up, changing up my amino acid profiles, but also just giving some diversity to my gut. I'm gonna have a banana in there, some more berries, an awesome shake before I have dinner a bit later. All right, shake done. Sitting at around 3,200 calories, so I've got a huge buffer. I usually allow a little room if I need to have some yogurt, berries, peanut butter and honey in the night, but I won't need to tonight with the dinner I've got. Now I'm just gonna finish off some storyboards and creative for the team, and then also have a meeting regarding our renovation with our project manager, and then there's dinner. So that is almost the end of the day.
time to cook. Team, 6:40 p.m. time for dinner. We're doing chicken parmesan. Now, chicken palmy in Australia is schnitzel, red sauce, some ham, and then cheese on top with some chips or fries. Here, it's spaghetti and there's no ham. This is a very delicious meal. I'm very excited. I love pasta, love making a little tomato sugo. This recipe you can actually get in my Eat Like a Legend cookbook. So if you haven't picked it up before, check it out. It'll be left in the show notes. Is around 850, so just over 4,000 calories on the day. I will not need any yogurt, berries, peanut butter, and honey tonight. If I really wanted to, I'd get it, but I'm feeling fantastic. All ready for tomorrow's run and double. So smash this. I usually have some water before bed as well, and then we get into bed and read. And that is what I eat in a day, or at least a day like today. I usually flex between 38 to 4,200 calories on the day, and you can see by the doubles that I have and my increase in basal metabolic rate, which we'll talk about in the next episode. Really important to make sure you are eating for performance and not eating for aesthetics, because aesthetics come with improved performance. No doubt Maverick's hungry.
Okay, team, so it is 9 p.m, which means it's time for bed. We ate just over 4,000 calories for the day. That's pretty standard. We usually hit between 38 to 42. And we do this because we're well planned, and I know it's what I need to go into each day well fueled to hit my performance means. So that's why every Sunday night I write out what I'm going to be eating along with all my training and essentially what I want to be doing throughout the day. With that being said, biggest takeaways I hope you saw is I'm well ahead of my day by lunchtime. Puts less stress on the back end of the day. And if I do need to, I have the means of either flexing with carbs or supporting myself with additional yogurt, berries, and honey towards dinner and dessert. That being said, team, in next episode, it's pretty exciting. I go through full set of training zones to understand what my zone 2 actually is along with my zone 4. I'll walk you through all that. It is time to read, hang out with the bro. Disney Wonders away, and we'll see you in the next video.
Keep going, and we get a lot of Darth Vader. Every 4 minutes, get a little bit more intense until we hit that second threshold.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if that was meant to happen. I didn't see that.
Some blood work done. Was that all for me? This is all for you.